Greetings to you all who are following again. This is our channel. Thank you for joining into this conversation. Today we are privileged to have a guest of honor, Justus Namanya, all the way from Uganda. And today is going to talk on a very particular and a very interesting and a modern question of marriage in the Catholic Church. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
You're fine.
Good.
I'm good. So thank you for allowing us to walk us through your researches on marriages in the Catholic Church, or should I call it marriage? And you are going to clarify more about it. And my first question: what do you understand as marriage? As we talk of marriage in the Catholic Church, what does it mean?
Okay, to begin with, marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman. Yes.
Why is it called a covenant to begin with?
Yes, it's a covenant because it's like an agreement between the two. An agreement to come together, to live together for the rest of their life. So it is a covenant because it is not for a one day, but it is to happen forever. Mm-hmm. They have to live together for the rest of their lives until death.
Would I be correct if I call the marriage a contract?
No, because a contract may expire tomorrow, mm-hmm. but marriage never expires in the Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. Whether there are challenges, but it doesn't expire. Mm-hmm. Once it has been entered in, then it's for the rest of their lives. So it cannot be a contract.
Mm-hmm. So now, what is the basis of the Catholic Church in assuming that marriage has to last forever? Marriage does not end. Marriage is a covenant. What do they draw that conclusion and conviction?
Yeah, the conviction of the Catholic Church to say that marriage is a covenant or it is forever. First of all, it is drawn from Jesus Christ, because the Catholic Church affirms that marriage is originary, finds its origin in God. So finding its origin in God, it means that since Christ cannot divorce his church, so that relationship of Christ and the church has helped the church also to to define this foundation of marriage, to say that marriage can never, or it is for life, which means there is no day that Christ can never separate from the church. So since we cannot divorce the church from Christ or Christ from the church, then the same applies for marriage. So the first is that the marriage finds origin in God, and God still journeys with his church. So that's where the basis of marriage comes in.
Thank you very much. It is. I'm very interested in the statement you just made about equating the marriage to Christ's union with the church.
Yes.
How does it come to make such a parallel, knowing that Christ, first of all, he can never be unfaithful. Christ, he can never have undivided love. He can never have a divided love towards the church. And you are equating that image of Christ with the church to the image of, to the marriage, marriage.
Yes.
How does it come where we have these couples that are human beings? How does it come to be?
Yeah, it comes in a way that there's what I would call the original intention of God. Like when we read in Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 to 28, we read that God intended, he created man and woman. And then it also shows us that original intention that God wanted that the two should become one, that coming together. And once they have, a man and a woman have come together and they have become one, I think when something is one, there's no way you can separate it. So that's how this issue of the union of church and Jesus Christ comes in now to put like a stamp on marriage. So we would say that it is what God intended at the beginning. So whether there are challenges in marriage, the original intention that God had does not cease to exist. First of all, the intention that the two a man and a woman should come together and become one body. And when we go, even Jesus in the Gospels says that even nothing should put maybe a blockage to this unity of being one.
Thank you very much. Really, now you are talking correctly about the separation, this unity and indissolubility.
Yes.
And the man and the woman, they are one body. But at the same time, I'm aware that the church cannot allow in certain circumstances separation. In that case, are these couples still one body?
Yeah, we'll talk about the bond of marriage, the marriage bond. So when the man and the woman exchange vows, that one which happens in the church in the presence of a witness who asks and receives their consent in the name of the church, and also in the presence of two witnesses, which is a requirement for the church, so that those witnesses, at least they would testify that these people got married in the Catholic Church. They are married, they witness to their marriage, because it is the couple themselves that are celebrating, this union. So which means not even at one point can this be a separation, So once there are problems, let's say in the Catholic Church, since there is no divorce, the Catholic Church accepts that the couples can can separate as they look into their issues with hope that they will manage to reach an agreement and come back together. So the bond still remains. They are still one in their separation, because the marriage bond does not separate. Even Christ himself cannot dissolve this bond that of marriage. So that's how strong, that's how this marriage should be taken seriously, because that bond remains forever until death. It's only death that cuts this bond, because the other partner has died. But before that, nothing can happen to this bond. So in their separation, still that bond exists. They are still one.
Thank you very much. I'm reading right now the Catechism of the Catholic Church number 1606, that said, by its very nature, the marriage is ordered to the good of the couple, as well as generation, and generation, they mean procreation here, in education of children. Now, I'd like to know, can people who have not ability of especially generating children can still be requesting marriage in the Catholic Church, like due to the old age, for instance, but they love one another, care for one another, support one another, they want to get married, but they have not that possibility of generating children and definitely educating children. Can they still come to the Catholic Church to wed?
Yeah, it's quite a complex question, especially when it comes to the issue of children, because we presume that the marriage actually should take place when these people have known. I would talk about what we call the catechism, or the catechesis that happens just before these couples get married. In these lessons, they are taught what marriage is, what is required of them. They are told about the challenges and all that. Now, one of the lessons that are emphasized is also what we would call the goods of marriage. So, which means marriage should yield children at the end of the day, or offsprings. So what happens now to couples who cannot produce children, who cannot have,
that they are not capable,
yes,
before even contracting the marriage?
Exactly, because these days, if it's old age, yeah, then there's nothing you can do about old age. So the issue there is that I think in the recent developments has been that you find that maybe those old people already have children, but now they cannot have more children. So the church allows, would bless their marriage because they have intention, you know, their desire is there. They are still willing to have those children, but they cannot. But then also there are other complicated cases where the church may not allow. For example, if with impotence, for example, that is the one who I would call the perpetual one, because it can never be treated. So once the couples have found out that, yeah, we cannot have children because of perpetual impotence, then there's nothing they can do about that. If one of the couples sees that will prevent them from enjoying their marriage, then they can go on to put their case, and then their marriage can be dissolved. But before that, they can come even when they know that they are, because there's no way you can know. I would mention a point of clarity that normally sex in the Catholic Church, for example, should happen in the context of marriage. So it is after you have married that you are married in the church that you can have intercourse, and that's the time when you can discover that either you can have children or not, if it is not maybe going for medical test or something. So if the couples come for marriage, automatically they will be allowed, because we presume that they will know that they cannot have children after their marriage. That is when they have wedded. So if one of the couples has a problem with that maybe they can't have kids, then they can bring their marriage into the marriage courts, and then it can be declared invalid on the ground of perpetual impotence. And then we have also these couples who are already married and they are struggling and they are still willing to live together. Still, the church allows such cases, some special cases like adoption of children. I think it is current, especially with Pope Francis, has emphasized that all the couples and maybe those couples who cannot conceive or who cannot have children due to one reason or the other, they can adopt children, and that is allowed to adopt children, because still it expresses the desire.
Thank you very much. My question now, again on the same topic. Suppose in a couple, they love one another, care for one another, but they don't have that possibility. They have possibility of generating children, biologically, but they don't have means of educating children financially, for instance. Can they still contract the marriages, and in which circumstances?
I would say that they can still contract the marriage,
and they decide not to have children because they are not capable of raising them.
They can have children, and first of all, when we talk about education, raising and education of children, the first instance is that we have to acknowledge their desire to have the children, because that's where the thing starts from. Now, when it comes to education and raising them, I believe that the church allows that they can have children whom they are capable of raising. If they cannot raise even one child, I believe there are ways, especially in many parishes these days, you find free education, let's say, as catered for by the church, for example. So they can be catered for in that line, that their education, especially school, can be done by the church. They can find ways of helping the couple to educate the children. The other education also, which is important, which they can manage. I believe that all couples can manage to educate their children in this, is the faith and the moral. Because it's not only about the education maybe at school, but also at home. These kids have to learn their faith. So it is the role of the parents that they should make sure that the children learn about their faith. How to behave, which comes to the moral behavior. Still, the parents have that responsibility of teaching them. So still, even if they cannot manage maybe to educate them maybe in the modern sense of understanding of education, but they still can teach them about the faith. They can still teach them about how to behave in society and how to relate to others and the rest of creation. Yeah.